Let me tell you the tale of two Trumps, okay? Last night, he was mentally spiraling on social media. Then I'm going to show you what he was up to on video today. Part 1, middle of the night. Trump fires off over 160 Truth Social posts in frenetic late night blitz. And you have some people saying, according to Ben Mycelis, it was 400 posts in an hour. But I've definitely seen at least hundreds of posts in a couple hours. Let's look at some of the examples. Reposting Alex Jones, who said Michelle Obama may have used Biden's auto pin. What? That's not even one I've heard before. Then very long posts like this I don't even want to read. Donald Trump is not a Democrat. He's not a Republican. He's a movement. The greatest president ever to live. What time are these happening? What time is he reposting these? At nighttime, I guess, is the President Trump unleashed late night posting binge on Monday from 7 p.m. to midnight. Endless stream of hundreds of posts. Hundreds. Including Michelle Obama was using Biden's auto pin. Okay? Maybe to prosecute the former Honduran president. I don't know. Maybe that was Michelle Obama's thing. And then let me show you an example. You put this on screen, Jaden? Here is just 2 hours of his feed, okay? Here's just 2 hours of his feed. Continue watching with me. I'm going to go really fast. This is just 2 hours of his feed, which takes 5 minutes to scroll through. But I'm obviously doing it faster. Does Gavin Newsom not know how a remodeling works? It's one of the videos, okay? Look at this. Unheard of. It's some form of psychosis. So, you can't blame the guy for having a major energy collapse when he got to his cabinet meeting. He'd been up all night looking at videos about Gavin Newsom remodeling and Michelle Obama sleeping in the Oval Office and actually being the president or something. Look at how sleepy Trump was during this cabinet meeting. Coming down hard from whatever he was on in the middle of the night.
I can say, sir, that we are moving to return education to the states and to bring the level of education back up, making sure our students can read, are reintroducing the science of reading in schools, and going into next year,
So he was up, and now he's down. Look at this. Look at this.
And we want our workforce to be educated. We do not need the numbers that we have seen across this country where our 4th through 8th graders cannot read, write, or do any math, and they are our future workforce. We have to depend on the American workforce.
All right. Dozy John, you have this caption. There's more. I think you get it. Gramps is banged up this afternoon, Rupar's saying.
Race, and we're working on that, and the Department of Labor is now creating and will soon launch the AI infrastructure and workforce hub, which we will be able to track that metrics to see exactly if these dollars are going correctly. Integrating education and workforce with, obviously, Administrator Loeffler and I are on the road a lot together because we're talking about Main Street.
You know, we all have had that, like, it's 9 p.m., you're with friends, you have a couple drinks, and then you get that little, you know that little tingle you get? That's sort of, I don't care at all about anything other than continuing this moment right now. And you get that little, are we about to have a night? Should we have a little fun night? What the heck? And then you say, excuse me, a double vodka tonic. And then you really start getting grooving, right? And then it's like midnight and you're thinking, I have work tomorrow, but this is really fun. You know what? Who cares? Woo! And then you stay up all night. And then you come into work emotionally, physically, energy collapsed. And you sit down at your desk and you're thinking, was it worth it? If it was a great night, you think, yeah, it was worth it. For Trump, he doesn't drink, but I guess like that's him using social media, is like that level of an addictive feeling where he knows he has a cabinet meeting tomorrow. He knows that not going to be Melania, but someone's going to come into his room and wake him up for work. And he just couldn't help but read more posts about how he's the greatest president and repost hundreds of times. He's also getting it's a little difficult for him to hear reporters a lot of times. While you watch this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. Right below the video, there's a button. It says subscribe. If you're not subscribed, click it. And then you help to get the word out about the show.
In the Christian region, are you willing to providing them the support? And if I had this question, tomorrow the United States is going to open and inaugurate one of the...
Speak louder.
Yeah, of course.
Is that possible?
What?
You have the most gentle, beautiful voice, but you're a very gentle person. Go ahead. Just take fewer words and louder.
Yeah.
Use fewer words and louder. Okay, so we see that's kind of... It makes me uncomfortable in the president. There was one thing for Biden to just kind of slowly slow down, right? It's like, well, that's how, you age, you slow down. It starts getting a little whispery. It's not that sometimes he want to go, and that's the reason. The idea of America. And you're like, whoa, Joe, that was a crazy gap.
Liberty, pursuit of that.
Yeah. He'd be telling a slow story and they go, this is America! Whoa! Okay, so there would be an energy gap, but it was very, you're the sucker, you're the loser, right? It would come out,
You're
but
the sucker, you're the loser.
It kind of felt more like a slow, all right, he's, that.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
I'm used to seeing this sort of thing in a person. With Trump, it's a little uncomfortable how high up he'll go. Why isn't he sleeping at night? And then he comes out and he's exhausted. That's what we see. We just saw a very sleepy man after calling his opponent Sleepy Joe. But Batya sees something very different.
I myself felt so sorry for Joe Biden for the embarrassment that I didn't talk about it enough, and I hold myself to account for that. But it's just hilarious. This is the most effective president of my lifetime. The next president is going to get half as much done. So whatever is going on with him, he seems to me to be very virile, but he is extremely.
Okay, take that down. Very virile. I hadn't heard the word virile in a while. So let's just look up virile. Having strength, energy, and a strong sex drive. But having strength, energy, and a strong sex drive. Okay. So, does this exude energetic, vibrant, and hard? Let's see. Is that what you see? Okay. So, interesting word choice there. I'm sure also it's just energetic. I'm sure that's how she was using it, but it's still funny. And then this is weird. Pete Hegseth had a name card at the cabinet meeting like they all do. And it says Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War. But if you look even closer, it has two S's. So it's SS, Secretary of War. Interesting. I feel like I remember something about SS. No. We do not, as Stephen A. Smith said, we do not make Nazi references on this show. How dare you? This is America. If you remember, you remember. That's not what I'm saying. It's a funny typo is all some people are saying. And then you know how the Pentagon pushed out under Pete Hegseth all the actual press because they said you have to sign a oath, not an oath. Sign a pledge that you won't report on anything that the Pentagon doesn't give you permission to report on. You won't use any unapproved material, which then defeats the whole purpose of the press. We can just go to the press office and have them give us the talking points. And so every single legitimate news outlet even they're not legitimate, but even Fox News was like, we can't do that. We'll destroy our ability to report. And actually, some Fox News reporters do genuine reporting, even if the anchors are cray. But here's the type of reporting that's happening now. You got Matt Gaetz. You got the project, I'm you know him. That guy. You have this guy looks fun. It looks like a guy who's going to his first wedding as a kid. Not that. Like his parents are taking him to a wedding, and so he puts on like his dad's suit and puts in his dad's hair gel into his hair and gets ready to go. And then you have Laura Loomer's now in the new press pool. That's great. And just, it's a real fun time there.
Does the Department of War plan on pursuing any sort of legal action against the Washington Post? And what consequences will there be for lying to the American people? Because, of course, the implication there was that Pete Hegseth and Admiral Bradley are war criminals. And that was the implication, and that's what a lot of people on social media were saying after the fact. So,
if the shoe fits. So, which yours don't, because you're wearing your dad's shoes, because you didn't even have your own dress shoes. So, the question from a reporter is, how are you going to punish the Washington Post for lying? What is he talking about? About the war crimes reporting. What did we just find out earlier in the show? That the White House confirmed the second strike happened. So, they weren't lying, sir. And look at this. Laura Loomer and Matt Gaetz. And I think I recognize some of the other people, but just really right-wing people is the point. No, like Laura Loomer is a pro-Trump propagandist. Then you go back to the cabinet meeting.
Social Security. We've also rapidly turned the worst border crisis in world history. I believe we had the worst border ever in history. I don't care if you had a fourth world country. You know, we allow third world country in. We would allow fourth world war.
Fifth world, sixth world. We allowed them all in. They were all here. Then he's thinking about, I guess, Ozempic or that style of drug.
So we're paying, as an example, for the, let's call it the fat drug, FAT for fat people. Anybody use it at the table? Don't ask.
Can someone explain to me why he thought he needed to spell fat? There's a word that I think almost everyone knows how to spell, and it's fat. And also, you gotta stop calling it the fat drug. It sounds like the drug makes you fat. It really does. FAT, fat. There's that. Then he was really he was trying. I think honestly, he still looks sleepy in this video, but I think the type of voice that was speaking helped to jolt him awake a little bit. Let's see who was talking.
If you lived in New Jersey and you moved to Oregon and you got injured, you went to a hospital, you would have to spend maybe 45 minutes.
Bobby, I'm trying to rest. Your voice is irritating me.
It's filling out forms on a clipboard. Because your doctors there could not get your healthcare records. They couldn't get your blood type.
Now, speaking of Bobby, here's the latest that we're learning from the Nutzi and Liza reporting. Kennedy has a pregnancy fetish. Which, isn't that just like, what does that mean? A pregnancy fetish? Isn't it kind of biologically a thing that guys get, that they want to impregnate beings? I guess women. But I feel like I've heard it in all sorts of directions, you know? Kennedy doesn't actually believe a lot of the anti-vax stuff, according to Liza, according to Nutzi, which is actually the weirdest part. This never made sense to me, as the anti-vax stuff seems to be one of the things he does actually believe, but Olivia's implication was that he just used it to appeal to a highly motivated political constituency to energize his campaign. I want to impregnate you. Kennedy's aides believed he was using drugs again, and Kennedy confessed to Olivia that he was using ketamine. What is the ketamine rave? Should we get on ketamine? I'm kidding. What is this? All the cool people are doing ketamine now. Elon, Bobby. Imagine Elon and Bobby hanging out together. Kennedy explained how I think the big ketamine is probably going to be really upset that reporting has revealed that Elon and Bobby use ketamine. Like, big ketamines worked so hard on their branding, and they're getting it destroyed by people going, I don't want to become that. Oh, but Luke, Elon's so rich. Shut up. Kennedy explained how the testosterone he takes has transformed his body. Of course, he takes a bunch of testosterone. Kennedy told her that his phone had been hacked at some point in 2024, yet he was shockingly cavalier about it and made few changes to how he and Olivia communicated. She's like, maybe you shouldn't send me those really sexy poems anymore if your phone was hacked. And he's like, let them see it. Olivia believed Kennedy was a sex addict and that he was having multiple affairs, including with those two redacted names. Yeah, I'm sure he's a sex addict. Why not? Why not, Bobby? Which is already something we had to know that. The only person who has dozens of affairs and names of people they're having an affair with in their phone has to have a little bit of a sex problem. And it's, you know, I mean, a lesson of life. All good things can be overdone. Sex is a beautiful thing when it's between... when it's between a man and his bride. Sex is a beautiful thing when it's within the confines of no lust and a marriage. It's a beautiful thing when it's purely for reproduction. But other than that, it gets very fishy. Very, very fishy. This is it, man. I mean, you have sex outside your marriage. No, I mean, you have had sex outside of a marriage at all. You're going to become Bobby. You've been warned. All right, then this.
And it didn't have much of an impact because the prices were very high. But our prices now for energy, but for gasoline are really low. Electricity's coming down. And when that comes down, everything comes down. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say...
It's so psychotic. Okay, so gas prices are flat from a year ago. Electricity prices are significantly up. He's lying, and no, affordability is not a Democratic scam.